but I think they're going to be bottling it and getting Europa League football. It's a one dogfight against another, therefore sitting pretty just above. Hey guys, and welcome back to the Fans Perspective, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about the dogfight for European football in this year's Premier League campaign. Now, with Manchester City high and dry, you've now got a battle from 3rd all the way down to 8th to see who can get in this year's top 6. Well, technically top 7, but after speaking to fans of these clubs, who realistically wants to be in the Conference League? It's kind of like a family game of Monopoly. Like, you don't really want to be in it, but if you're playing, you've kind of got to win, otherwise it looks bad on you. Now, to come to a conclusion of my top 6, I'm going off a range of bases. So obviously the form the clubs are in the running to these final few games, how many games they have remaining, and also who each respective club has. So obviously this might affect their results. The injuries, because, well, if they haven't got any star players or any players that can make an impact, this will definitely affect the results, as well as an amalgamation of other things. Now, if you do like this sort of content, please smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you know when the video goes live. We're really trying hard to hit 4,000 subs as soon as possible. And yeah, without further ado, guys, let's get into it. Now, despite the table still being realistically quite close, it's kind of two sort of fights. Obviously, you've got Tottenham, you've got Villa, and you've got Brighton fighting for European football. And then you've got Liverpool, Manchester United, and Newcastle fighting for the top 4 in Champions League football. Well, Brighton still do have 4 games remaining, and if they do win all of them, they can still get Champions League football. But realistically, I think even European football is a massive step for Brighton. So I say I'm respecting them enough saying they're trying to fight for Europa League. With all that taken into consideration, the way that I'm going to do my list is just go from the bottom upwards. So who I believe is going to finish 8th, 7th, 6th, 5th, etc, etc. So yeah, come on, let's get into it. Starting off with Tottenham Hotspur. Now, yes, you may think I'm overreacting here. They've got a generational talent in the likes of Harry Kane. They've got a really strong squad. But the only real injury of note they have out is Lloris, and realistically with Tottenham goalkeepers, you can put either one in the sticks and nothing really is going to make a difference. Lloris hasn't really been on form. Obviously, Forster isn't the greatest goalkeeper in the world, as you've seen by Tottenham winning 1 of their last 5 games, keeping a measly 1 clean sheet, and in those 5 games conceding 14 goals, including an embarrassing result to Newcastle. Yes, they did come back, show some heart to come back against United. A last-minute heartbreak against Liverpool. I still kind of feel bad for Richarlison for that. And then just an abysmal performance against Villa. Then obviously they've only got 2 games remaining, and they're still fighting for that European spots. But you've got the likes of Brentford, which has really shocked most of the league this season. The likes of Ivan Toney and Damsgaard, and just the rest of the team really performing well this season and proving some shocks. Earlier this season, they did draw 2-2 with Brentford. They came back from behind to get a draw, but I can realistically only see them getting 1 point from that game. And then the final day of the season, not to mention the Brentford game is the early kickoff. You cannot trust the early kickoff. And then the final game of the season, you've got a team which will be fighting in a completely different dogfight. They'll be trying to save their careers, save their lives. Leeds United trying to stay in the Premier League. And I'm sorry, I don't think Tottenham players are having a fight to play against the Leeds side. Even though they've got the much better quality, at the end of the day, it goes down to who wants it more. And I can potentially see them losing to Leeds on the final day, even though I particularly don't really think or want Leeds to stay up. So I'm going to say they're going to get 1 more point and finish the season on 58. In 7th place, I've gone for a club which I do believe has fallen victim to their own circumstance. It's Aston Villa. If they brought in Unai Emery earlier, there's a very, very big chance they could be even higher up this list. Obviously, Unai Emery got them in one of the biggest and best unbeaten streaks in the Premier League this season. And it all had to come to an end at one point, didn't it? The 1-0 defeat to Manchester United, which made it even worse as they followed us up by me with another 1-0 defeat to rivals Wolves. This means they've got 2 defeats in their last 5 games. They're not conceding big amount of goals though. Obviously the 1-1 draw with Brentford, the 1-0 victory, 2 1-0 losses, and then a 2-1 win against Tottenham. And you would think, oh, they're in pretty good form. Obviously Man United's a great team. Wolves, everyone's allowed their off day. But then you look at their 2 remaining games. They've only got 2 remaining games. One being Liverpool, which is on an unbeaten streak of their own. I don't believe they've conceded in 3 goals either. I'll focus on them further on in a minute. And in the final game of the season, you've got another European contender. You've got Brighton. Now, when they played Brighton early on in the season, despite having less possession, they were actually the better side, I do believe. And they picked up, thanks to 2 Danny Ings goals, a victory 2-1. Now, I'm a personal believer. Now, even though everyone thinks that Brighton can be flying high to end the season, I think Villa can pick up 3 points in this game, which in turn would pick them up to 60 points, 2 points above Tottenham, and get them Conference League football. Now, a lot of Villa fans that I know say that they don't want to be in the Conference League. Why? It's a waste of European football with the likes of Hearts and lower down European clubs being in it. But I do think if Villa win that trophy, they'd all celebrate, and I think it would be a good stepping stone for them. Sitting just above them in 6th place, I've gone with Brighton and Hove Albion. Now, this club has got hands down one of the most confusing runs of football I've ever seen. Now, you've got a 3-1 defeat to struggling Nottingham Forest. Then, you just think, oh, let's just go turbo mode, blow Wolves out of the water, 6-0. They then get revenge on Manchester United in the very last minute after that cup defeat on penalties with a 1-0 win with a penalty. Then, after all this form and momentum, they get battered by Everton, who can't score goals and seem to concede everything. And then they turn around and destroy Arsenal's title hopes with a 3-0 win. They are arguably, I still can't believe some of these games even happened, especially back to back to back. Injuries wise, they've got the man who did miss the penalty at Wembley. They've got Solly March out. They've got Adam Webster out, who I think is a big miss at the back. And Tariq Lamptey, who has been out for a long time. And in my eyes, is one of the best right backs in the league on his day when he's fit. But yes, they do have 4 games remaining, and all these Brighton fans are thinking, oh, we're going to avenge the cup. We're going to get really, really high in the league. But then you have to actually look at the games they have remaining. They've got Newcastle, which when they played at the very start of the season, it did end a 0-0. And I do think the games can be a bit more interesting than this. I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw. I think the 2 teams are very tightly contested. They've both got great attacking. They've both got decent defensive numbers as well. You've then got Brighton versus Southampton. Southampton are already down. I think they're going to get battered, and I don't really think they have a chance. I think that's 3 points. That's 4 points on the board. You've then got Manchester City. I don't see them standing any chance, possibly a 2-0 loss. And on the final day, as I already mentioned, they do face Unai Emery's Aston Villa side. Nevertheless, these 4 points on the board do take them to 62 points, therefore sitting pretty just above Villa. I can smell the hate comments from here. I can see all the angry Manchester United fans coming for me in the comments, but they are the team I've got sat in 5th place. Yes, they've been in top 4 the majority of the season, but I think they're going to be bottling it and getting Europa League football. But before you do come for me, just please look at the form and look at it logically. Yes, you've got the likes of Lisandro Martinez, who's arguably one of your players of the season. He's out, his legs are now turned to cheese strings. You've got Marcus Rashford, who may not be in contention for these games. I'm a little bit iffy with his availability, but obviously his goals do help you a lot this season, as well as the likes of Sabitzer, who is playing really well in Europe as well, considering he's only a loan signing. But the game against Tottenham, it's a 2-2 draw. Yes, it's a point, but you've got to look at it more on the side of a loss. It's points dropped. You 2-0 up and you let that be squandered. You got 3 points against Villa, a very, very good Villa side. That's a big win. It ended their streak. But then what happened? A 1-0 loss to Brighton in the last minute. That's really got to get to your head. A 1-0 loss to West Ham. Manchester United can't be losing to West Ham, especially where they are in the table and the position and form they've been in. And yes, all right, you got back on track with a 2-0 win against Wolves, but they recently conceded 6 to Brighton, so it's not that much of a big feat. You've got 3 remaining games. You've got more remaining games than Liverpool. You've got more remaining games than some of the other teams left. But Bournemouth, that's 3 points. We'll put 3 points on the board for you. Chelsea, every single time you seem to play Chelsea, it seems to be a draw. So I'm going to go with like a 1-1. Yes, Chelsea are in terrible form. They're in free fall. But it seems like every single time these 2 clubs, they get 1 point each. And then I think on the final day of the season, for a game when Manchester United can clinch Champions League football, I think they're going to bottle it. I think Fulham are going to get revenge for what happened in the club. It was their reason that everything happened. Obviously, it was the Willian, the Mitrovic, and I believe the manager got sent off as well. But without that, the game was in Fulham's hands. So I think Manchester United are only getting 4 points for the remainder of the season, and therefore they're sat in 5th. Now, you may be thinking, Redford, you're being ludicrous. 70 points and getting Europa League football. That's mad. But hear me out, okay? So, Newcastle United, I'm going for 4th spot. They've been putting teams to bed with ease. They've been blowing teams away. 6-1 win, demolition of Tottenham. 4-1 embarrassment of Everton with a beautiful bit of skill by Isaac, by the way. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. A 3-1 win against an already downed Southampton side. Yes, they lost to Arsenal. They pretty much downed tools. It was a really good performance against Arsenal. I can't really say much more. And then Leeds, like I said, it's a one dog fight against another. Leeds are fighting to stay up, they're fighting for Europe. It's a pretty evenly matched game, and even though I didn't really watch all of the game, people saying it's one of the games of the season, especially with Big Sam involved. How could it not be? And then, come on, you got to look at the remaining games. So Newcastle, Brighton, I've already said it's a draw, so that puts their 66 all the way up to 67. And you're thinking, well, Man United finished on 70. What's happening here? They've got Leicester. I watched that performance against Liverpool. That might be one of the most, they don't care. They're already down. They're mentally, they've given up. 3 points against Leicester with ease. I'll say it now. 4-1 victory, maybe 5-2. There's going to be goals galore. But watch this space. And that puts their points to 70. And I think against Chelsea on the final day, yes, again, I think they're going to bottle it. I think Chelsea can get something against Newcastle. Like, I'm not trying to be biased at all, but I think they've had a terrible season. And I think Chelsea would just want it that little bit more. Just at least some grain of respect to end the season. Which you're thinking, but Man United are on 70 points. Goal difference. Newcastle would have a better goal difference of about 30 if my Leicester prediction is right. And that is why I think they're getting top 4. And then finally, in 3rd place, you know what's coming. I've gone with Liverpool. Ever since their late scare, they left it late, but they got the job done against Tottenham, brewing in Richarlison's day. They've played 3 games, they've scored 5, and they've not conceded any against the likes of Fulham, Brentford, and like I said, a downed tools Leicester side, probably one of the worst teams I've seen in a very long time. But, right, you still got to beat who you come up against. And on the lines of that, with their 2 games left, they're currently set on 65 points. And if my prediction were to be right, they have to win both of these games. And I think it's going to happen. They've got Aston Villa at 3 o'clock on the 20th. And on the 28th, the final day of the season, they've got Southampton. Now, final day of the season, come on. Southampton's a guaranteed 3 points. Liverpool, I don't even think they'll concede. Maybe a 4-0, maybe a 2-0, something like that. And I do think the game against Villa is going to be a tough game. But, come on, with Bobby Firmino only having minutes left at the club, I think he'll get one in this game. And, yeah, I think Villa will put up a good fight, but I can see Liverpool walking away victorious 2-1 or 3-1, meaning they finish the season on 71 points and take 3rd spot in the Premier League. And for a team which I thought were going to get mid-table mediocrity, and I thought they disappointed themselves, I thought Klopp had done an absolute madness. Granted, they've fallen quite a lot from last season, but they've still done themselves proud to stay in the Champions League, especially after where they were halfway through the season, and they've not done a Chelsea. A little bit of a longer video this time. I hope you like my thoughts, and I hope you like obviously the way I've gone through this. If you do like it, please smash that like button. If you want to join the family and help me get to 4,000 subs, please smash that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you know when a video goes live. You can be the first person to watch these videos. Yeah, if you have any questions or queries, drop it down in the comment section. I love comments like this. It literally made my day today, and I love every single one of you. And yeah, without further ado, guys, I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.